Well, good day and welcome to Commerce Today. My name is Darren Newbold, and as always, Josh Warren is here with me, and we're excited to bring you we got 10 news articles I think we're going to kind of hit on right away. So without any further ado, Josh, how about we start it off? Yum Brands achieves record digital sales.
Yeah. So I got to admit, whenever I was working on this episode and the newsletter behind it, I got hungry. I got the munchies because Yum Brands owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. I immediately was thinking of my college days of late night trips to Taco Bell. Their digital sales actually surpassed 50% for the first time in Q1. So more than 50% of their sales actually came from people that wanted some chicken, some tacos, or some pizza, and using the app to either order it for delivery or order it ahead for pickup. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It's not an area we think about a lot when we think of omnichannel, but it is very much a yummy omnichannel experience.
Why, yes, it is. I'm curious on the statistics, and we don't have to go into it, but I wonder what time all those orders took place. I wonder if there's a common after 5, maybe after 10 p.m. Who knows?
Oh,
Next
yeah.
up, DoorDash expands Ulta beauty partnership.
So DoorDash Ulta had already done a trial with DoorDash so that you can order items for same day delivery from Ulta, have them delivered via DoorDash. They actually have expanded that now to all 50 states, all Ulta stores, and they've tied it into their rewards program. So you can actually, whether you're using the Ulta app or the website, you can earn rewards on items that you have delivered same day via DoorDash. And so it's interesting to see. I saw some brands experiment in 2020 with some DoorDash things. The now ill-fated Bed Bath & Beyond did an interesting DoorDash partnership, but it never integrated as well as what Ulta's doing. And I think that's a key difference here is with Ulta, you get your rewards points. It ties into your rewards profile. They're getting all that personalization data.
Well, that's pretty cool. Gosh, I sure hope it doesn't get mixed up with somebody's sandwich or Thai food.
Or their Taco Bell even.
Or their Taco Bell.
Bell.
All right. Next up on our list, L'Oreal's innovations in hyper-personalization. Now, this one looked really cool. I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, this one is super cool. Even as folks that don't use makeup and don't purchase L'Oreal products, I've actually been geeking out about this one a little bit. So they are doing a partnership with Meta and really going into what they're calling hyper-personalization using generative AI. They've actually teased this a couple of times. It's finally almost ready. It's going to be launching in Q3. And it's a way to get personalized diagnostics and recommendations. I would definitely recommend you go read more about it, but because I think it's a good jumping off point for a lot of brands to think about how to integrate AI. But few of the details, it actually pulls in their full database. So L'Oreal has a ton of knowledge on hair care, hair coloring, makeup, skincare. They even trained it on clinical studies, on the ingredients, but also on makeup and beauty routines. So if you're wondering, trying to think of something about a makeup routine. So one question I do remember from back when I was a little bit more focused on my appearance back in college is, do you want to wash your face and then moisturize, then wash your face? And even, 3 or 4 different products you're using, what order do you want to do that in? This AI, you can ask it that question, but you don't just ask it like a general question. You can give it selfies. You can give it data about your skin color, skin tone, skin problems, and it will personalize all these responses to your individual situation. And then kind of an interesting angle that L'Oreal's promoting is that if there are intimidating, intimate, or uncomfortable situations that you would like makeup advice about, or hair care advice about, or hair color advice about, this way you don't have to go to the mall and ask someone at a makeup counter or go to Ulta even and ask someone. You just ask this AI and it's between you and the AI.
Wow. So maybe I can figure out how to disguise myself as a secret agent.
There you go.
Use makeup appropriately. My question real quick on this, more seriously, is this in their mobile app that you would find this, or is this on their website?
So they're actually showing it that they're going to launch it both on the web and in an app, which will be interesting. Kind of that omni-channel, cross-channel play we see a lot of people doing. So.
Okay. All right. Well, next up, this one's really fun. Amazon Logistics surpasses UPS and FedEx. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, some of Amazon's recent behavior makes more sense now, but this kind of blew me away that Amazon Logistics now handles more packages in the US than UPS and FedEx combined. They moved almost 6 billion parcels in 2023. And this is all thanks to fulfillment by Amazon, same day delivery, that sort of stuff. But it is scary to me because there are so many businesses selling on Amazon that are wholly dependent on Amazon. Like if Amazon, say, adds a bunch of fees you don't like, well, you don't really have much of a choice. And oh, that's what they did. And so I'm glad you will rarely hear me say these words, but I'm glad the Federal Trade Commission is looking in and putting some pressure on Amazon, because this is just another way where they're developing almost a monopoly position between e-commerce brands and their customers. And that, not saying they are abusing that position, but I think that position could be
easily abused. I mean, it's crazy. So next up, we have interactive shoppable ads on Amazon Prime Video. Like, we need more ads in video, please. I didn't like this one.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the really interesting thing is if you have Amazon Prime Video because you have Prime, you don't realize this probably, but you got defaulted into a new tier of Prime Video that has ads. You now have to go pay, I think, $3 a month to not get the ads. So there are millions of people that are seeing these ads. And basically, when you pause a show on Amazon Prime Video, you'll actually see shoppable ads. So there will be products there with an add to cart option. Kind of scary part of this is if someone's in your house watching Amazon Prime and they pause it and they see that and they click add to cart or buy, it's going to be on your Amazon account. So
exactly.
Be careful who you share your Prime Video credentials with.
Absolutely.
But it is kind of exciting other than that, because this, plus an initiative that LinkedIn is actually working on, smaller to mid-sized businesses are going to get access to connected TV ads. So what used to be just the biggest companies, the biggest budgets, now even smaller companies are going to be able to place ads onto your connected TV. My wife is already nervous and giving me a hard time about how the first time she sees a LinkedIn video ad of me pop up on her TV, she's done. But it is kind of cool that there's just more people have access to this type of advertising.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, but we are in e-commerce, and so we love all things e-commerce. So with that, let's continue on. Forever 21 enhances their mobile checkout.
Yeah, so Forever 21 launched a new, basically a whole new version of their mobile checkout. They completely overhauled it. They did this because over 50% of their online sales year round now come from mobile. So they really highlighted the fact that they added a lot more payment options. They also added some speed boosts, some performance boosts, and that's actually helped their revenue grow quite a bit. They also really moved beyond just the standard people also bought that you see in carts and checkouts to a more personalized set of recommendations. And then, of course, they're adding or have added both ship to home and store pickup. So a real big push from an older retailer that's been kind of struggling. It'll be interesting to see how people react to this new mobile checkout.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. How about Wayfair opening their first physical store?
Yeah, so I got an interesting conversation on LinkedIn about this one because there's an analyst that pointed out that when you look at real dollars, Wayfair is basically never profitable, that they have had something like 11 unprofitable years out of 12, but they decided to try something else to stretch towards profitability, and that is opening a physical store. So they opened it up near Chicago, 150,000 square feet. They're really trying to basically acquire new customers and give their brand a boost. It definitely created a lot of headlines, a lot of press, and then obviously they're hoping for some foot traffic in that Chicago area. And it's just interesting. While I think a lot of analysts are not too excited about Wayfair's prospects, it does show that physical stores aren't dead. There's a lot of people that, thought, post-COVID, everyone's always going to shop online. Stores aren't really going to be a thing. The mall is dead. And while there are some malls not doing well, there's some stores not doing well. See my earlier comment about Bed Bath & Beyond. There are stores that are doing great with a store footprint. I know we talked in a recent episode about TJX and TJ Maxx, and they have a ton of stores. So, and I think a lot of it comes down to placement. Wayfair picked a kind of suburban, affluent area in Chicago or near Chicago. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of is retailers being very targeted about, okay, we think our audience is going to be in a more affluent suburban area, so that's where we're going to put our stores.
Seems a little crazy, though. I could see why the why the analyst may be a little negative on it, or at least not excited about it. In that, gosh, if you haven't been profitable and suddenly you're getting a physical store, that's a whole lot of fixed asset and stuff. Yes, while it is a fixed asset and can appreciate possibly, yeah.
It does make me wonder. I haven't looked at their financials, but I think after another quarter, it'd be really interesting to see if anything changed about assets or especially loans on their books. This could be a fully leveraged store that was entirely built with money from lenders, which dangerous play, but interesting.
Well, and they could have partnered and through a partnership of some variety and made it so that, hey, maybe it's not a huge amount of debt. You never know. Not a financial expert by any stretch, so we'll stay away from that. All right, this is fun. Are you smelling good, Josh? Scent marketing enhances in-store experiences. Love this.
Yeah, and given our deep experience at Creatuity with farm stores, it took me a second to think about like what's a positive smell inside a store. So this is all about. There's a company, and we'll link to this article where you can see the company name. But I believe it's called Spectrio. They publish an article all about scent marketing and basically how more and more stores, either through artificial scents or through, some of the basics. Like, there's a reason that Costco has a hot dog stand, that Target used to have a popcorn stand. Like, there's reasons that they put those by the entrances to generate certain smells. But basically, science is now showing like you can actually trigger parts of your memories, parts of your desire to buy things and just certain emotions by the smells. And so some clothing stores are starting to pipe in kind of more high-end fragrances like perfumes and colognes. There's stores that are piping in the smell of real leather, even if they don't have any real leather in the store. And this is actually, it's one of those things that being on this side of e-commerce, it gets kind of scary when you actually look at the data and see it influences our behavior. You may not realize it, but you will spend longer in a store and typically spend more if the smell of the store resonates.
So here's the question I have. How obvious sometimes is this, or how behind the scenes? I mean, I know I've been to places and they have hotels are huge for doing this kind of thing and that kind of stuff. But I guess how often is it behind the scenes? You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't maybe recognize it until somebody told you later.
Yeah. So that's a good point because like hotels, I've been in so many, especially Westins are big on this. You can actually, somewhere in their lobby, you will find a black box that's putting out a little bit of like, looks like steam or fog. And that is their scent system pumping in that white tea scent. Others like Disney World, actually, their stores, their rides all over the place. They have the same system basically, but hidden in their air conditioning systems. So you never see it. You never know it. And it can be very subtle. They even will layer in things like there's an area that bakes fresh cookies. Well, you're going to smell those cookies. Well, they still layer in a little extra cookie scent on top just to make sure. So you can definitely make it as out there or as subtle as you would like it to be to kind of match your brand experience.
How fun. Well, how about Joe Paluzzi's? Is that right? Joe Paluzzi's new book, The Content Entrepreneur. What'd you find there?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting book, and I included this one because there's such a shift now in basically if you own an e-commerce brand or if you're in marketing for an e-commerce brand, you have to be creating content. And this book has some great advice on basically how to, and really modern advice, I guess you should say, on how to create the right content to drive traffic to your business. And yeah, I talked about them before, but the two brothers that founded and run Frost Buddy, they are huge on their content creation, both on LinkedIn and on TikTok, and it's driven so much business for them. So many books. By the time a book is researched, outlined, sold, written, published, it's out of date. So this is one of the first books I've seen in a while that is 2024 information about content creation as an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like people need to check that out. Well, last but not least, let's close it out with Google delays their third-party cookie phase out.
Yeah, so I saved, oddly enough, this is actually the best saved for last. It doesn't sound exciting, but for those, especially in marketing, you'll know that Google that has been talking about how third-party cookies just aren't going to be a thing, aren't going to work in their browser going forward. That date was fast approaching. And they said, just kidding, we're going to extend it again to next year. So you get a little bit longer where you can do certain types of retargeting and pulling in third-party data about the visitors to your website. That is going to go away. Google kind of said, this is the last time, we promise that we're not going to extend it again. They still might, who knows? But the interesting thing is, because this deadline was so close when they finally extended it, a lot of big retailers that have launched their own retail media networks like Walmart Connect and Target's Roundel, they've already moved away from third-party cookies and first-party data and basically collecting as much data on you, their customers, possible, targeting it to you using first-party cookies instead of third-party cookies. And so there's some interesting opportunities if you're, at the scale and selling the kind of products where it makes sense, then advertising through those media networks through Walmart and Target could be a good replacement for third-party cookies. Could be a good thing at least to experiment with before the final death knell of third-party cookies next year. The other thing I'm seeing, though, because the big thing with third-party cookies going away is, like used to, you would go to a website and that website could tell, hey, you're Darren Newbold, and according to Facebook, here's 20 things that you like. Well, that's going to be a lot harder now. So it's a lot more important for brands to collect that data themselves, to basically say, okay, I'm going to give you a newsletter pop up and say, give me your name and email address. I'll give you 10% off. All right, I'm going to save that name and email address. Now I'm going to watch kind of how you're browsing and try to determine myself, what are you interested in? What are you here for? What are you shopping for? And really trying to build that data in-house. And then the really fun thing, and something we've started to experiment with at Creatuity, is tying that into generative AI and basically on the fly doing some personalization on the site that used to require a lot of third-party data from places like Facebook, that now you can use that first-party data and generative AI.
Interesting. Well, that's a much different than what I had originally thought when I was reading that. Well, we have come to the end of the list, which is pretty awesome, and we got it done in time. So with that, is there anything last, or you want to just invite people to read our newsletter and check into you on LinkedIn?
Yes, definitely. Please come find me on LinkedIn. I'm Joshua Warren. I have a Creatuity Gold background behind me on LinkedIn. I guess I need to change my wall here to be Creatuity Gold now. And all of this and more was in my weekly LinkedIn newsletter. So you can sign up for that and check that out on LinkedIn every Wednesday. Sometimes it's 5 or 10 different topics. Sometimes I go deep on one topic, but try to always provide some insights that you need in the world of e-commerce.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as always, take care, and we'll see you next time at Commerce Today.